very.
Now you're doing this incredible thing in the world where you're actually inviting people to come on retreat with you. And they're coming, it seems like a lot of them, to your point, you said, they're not even sure, they just know they're called. Some people are coming because they are trying to like break out of the boxes. And I wonder if you can speak to, because of this early learning, how you're doing that, how you're helping other people do what you were able to do at that young age by like breaking through the barriers of being the good girl and actually finding your own voice.
Mhm. And I think a lot of that has to do with my capacity to listen to the stories
Ah,
and let people actually find the little pieces where they're held, where the edges of the boxes aren't actually any longer working for them,
mm,
and what they're pushing up against.
mhm,
And as the story unfolds, they can see what the pushing feels like. And I just actually don't give them any resistance. I actually help push down the wall.
mhm,
So it's like, well, what if? And we'll be doing a Zentangle or working on a collage, or I'll be sitting on the couch rubbing their feet. And then this whole other way of being able to see the dilemma actually rises in the field.
mhm.
And then we just push against it a little bit, and it actually looks easy then.
Mm. Yeah, so I've had that experience with you where you just give me a lot of space to talk about what's going on. And what I know that notice that you do is you'll needle in on something that I have so much identification with that I can't actually see how much I'm trying to hold on to that idealization or perception of myself or the world. And you kind of slip in some pointed questions, has been my experience, or you challenge me directly.
Right.
And but because it's in the spaciousness of your curiosity, I feel like something does start to melt and I just immediately am able to see what's going on with more
Mm-hmm.
clarity.
Mm-hmm.
And so that feels, so maybe the next layer you could share is just when someone comes to you, what does it bring alive in you, and how do these journeys unfold?
Hmm. That's a big question.
Yeah.
For me, this feels like it has grown organically out of many, many years of tending to and caring for people that I've come to love.
Mhm.
And it happens really frequently in my practice that um, I get to see into such an essential part of a human being that there is really no other response besides love.
Mhm.
It really just, I'm really tender in that way. And so my tenderness gets ignited. And so I've gathered over the years this whole big basket full of skillfulness in terms of tending both to myself but to other people's needs, other people's wants, other people's fantasies. Um, I love doing things that people need. I love to cook. I actually love to housekeep. I love to garden. I love to read. And those are things that, if you can feed people wonderful food, if you can rub their toes and then read them a story, they're in heaven.
Mhm.
It doesn't take much more than that.
Mhm.
And I actually love doing those things. So for me, it's just the extension of, well, rather than seeing someone for an hour and a half on my table, let's take the table out of it for the moment, use my living room or my dining table, and have something else actually happen.
Mhm.
And it's a much more in depth, much more comprehensive working with where are the places that you're feeling confined? Where do you want freedom? And for me, that's what it's really all about. It's like, how do I get free to be who I am?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's something almost like coming in the back door, because traditional therapy is so straightforward and you're kind of drilling into something, talk therapy.
Right.
And you're creating a space where people are putting their attention in other places, but still you're tracking things and prodding in areas to help things get revealed, whether that's, yeah,
Yeah. And they usually end up talking a great deal and sharing their stories so that I understand
yeah,
and so that they understand that I understand,
right,
which is actually a key component.
yeah,
Because if they feel understood, something automatically begins to heal.
right. I feel like that is actually the key to healing trauma or anything else, is what you're
Right.
saying. Is like there's got to be safety and relaxation for the system to open. And
Right.
because of the container that you're creating, there's a sense that it can come in different ways.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And unlike therapy, it's not that I don't have boundaries, I have boundaries.
Mm.
But opening my home, in a sense, gives the other person the experience of I have nothing to hide
Mm.
because all of my humanity is certainly on clear display.
Yeah.
It's my house.
Right.
You are going to see my allergies. You're going to see my eating habits. You're going to see how I decorate. You're going to see it all. And you'll either align with it and appreciate it, or you'll have a reaction.
Mhm. And then do you work with those reactions if they fit?
Sometimes we do, yeah, because if comfort isn't automatic, then comfort has to be established.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like that's what's so revolutionary about this kind of work you're doing, is that until someone models to us what it looks like to be in a therapeutic role, but also a messy human or just a vulnerable, open, this is how I roll kind of person,
Mhm.
there's a quality of safety that is harder to access. I mean, that just accelerates things, I think is my point.
Right, right.
And so these containers do that. Go ahead. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, I just was going to share this little story about I had a man come once for a fairly short retreat, a day, day and a half, and I have pictures of owls on my kitchen wall.
Mm-hmm.
He's scared to death of them, and he came around the corner of my front door and basically froze. It's like, oh, can we take that down? It's like, no, no, we can't actually. But and then so we had to spend the next hour talking about why owls are so scary to him.
Yeah.
And I had to get really curious about, no, my boundary is the owls live on my wall. If you don't want to be in a place where you can see them, I can accommodate that.
Mm-hmm.
But really, what are you so afraid of?
And did that open up a door for him to touch some deeper parts?
I think it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it took us right to his childhood, of course.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's sort of where I'm curious about. I was glad you brought up a story, because I wonder if you could share a little bit about what do people come for, and what do you find are their themes, and what do you find that people are receiving by doing these retreats?
Yeah, that's really actually a hard question for me to answer. What are they receiving?
Yeah.
Um, and what they're coming for is some level of clarity about where their next steps are.
Mm.
So almost all of us are on a path or a journey of some kind. Not always really clear to us, but we're moving.
Mhm.
It's not a stationary experience, life. So they've come to a place where there's either a crossroads or distinctly a left or right turn, and they don't want to make it. They don't want to choose. And
Mm.
that precipice of choosing often it gives them a pause. So they come to me in that pause, and we just explore, well, what happens if you go left? What happens if you go right? What happens if you don't choose at all? And then other really big experiences in life sometimes bring people. I had a woman who retired um, from a corporate job and basically was, okay, I'm going to retire, but what am I going to do with my life? Oh
Mhm.
my goodness, there's all this space, and I actually don't know what I want.
Mhm.
And so we sat for 2.5 or 3 days with, okay, so what do you want? What could it look like? And she has built the most incredible life. She's a jeweler and has learned all about metals and metalsmithing, and she does incredible beadwork. She's just like taken off, and she's gone all over the world to
Mhm.
pursue her art and form relationships with other artists. It's really been incredible. She's become an artist.
Wow. That is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't actually think that would have happened had she not taken that pause,
Mhm. Yeah.
or it wouldn't have happened as smoothly or as easily as it happened. She just actually flew right out of the nest.
Incredible.
I had another woman who came. Um, she was moving. Her best friend had committed suicide, and she really wanted to change her job, but it was too much change all at once,
Mhm.
and no way forward without actually. She was the executor of her best friend's estate, and she had to go to California and deal with that.
Wow.
And nothing in her wanted to do that. And so she came to me, and one of my clients actually sent her to me, and we step by step by step broke it down into, okay, how do you deal with this, and then how do you deal with that, and then how do you move forward from those realities.
So she ended up going, but you helped her like move through some of the resistance
Yes.
and plot a plan.
Yeah, and we actually had to delve into the grief, because the grief is what
Yeah.
kept her in resistance. It's
Yeah.
like, no, I don't want to go look at those things. I don't want to feel what I have to feel.
Mhm.
I don't think I can.
Mhm.
And it's how to get through those moments of collapse where we would want to collapse. No,
Mhm.
we really can't collapse because life will fall apart, but we don't have the resources to actually move forward.
Yeah.
And so this period of time gives you a pause so that you can find a resource within yourself
Mhm.
to actually go, oh, if I do it this way, I can probably do it.